Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Virtual Agent Academy. Welcome to happy 2022. Thank you all for joining. We'll have some more folks joining in, but while they do, we'll just go ahead and get started with our usual quick announcements. As always, feel free to visit our VA NLU community for content and the voice of our experts, explore best practices and up-to-date content. We are still going to be pushing out content this new year. Use the experience of others. There you can also ask questions and give answers as well. If you're watching on YouTube and you like what you see, click that like or subscribe button. Also feel free to view our playlist with all our 2021 and 2020 Academies sessions as well. Of course, this session is recorded and will be posted on YouTube later this week as well. All right, so today we're going to talk about measuring success in your user journey and your conversational analytics. And with me today is Sheshakanth Munagapati. He's Principal PM for Conversational Interfaces. As always, I am Victor Chen, Outbound PM for Conversational Interfaces. So here's our quick agenda. So a quick overview of the CA dashboard. I hope many of you are using it already. This was released in the Quebec family release, and in Rome release we have a new UI, new features and metrics. It is a store release, so the Rome compatible version was released in the fall 2021, is available in ServiceNow store, and some new features include a deflection tracker and a funnel builder and widget, and those are the two things we're going to go over today. There's also saved reviews for analyzing conversations and users, and then we have new metrics for issue auto resolution. So you're going to hear the word deflection a lot today, and we want to give you our definition, ServiceNow definition, which is a deflection is when a user has their issue resolved without creating a ticket or interacting with a live agent. And that's really the goal of a virtual agent, right? Being able to automate your IT services more, reducing time to resolution, increasing the efficiency of your staff so they can concentrate on more important strategic projects rather than answering the same thing over and over again, right? And the ServiceNow virtual agent does have the potential to handle more than 50% of the most common call drivers across customer, HR, and IT service management. Again, freeing up your support staff to focus on work that actually adds value to your business. So I'm going to turn over to Sheshakanth, or Shesh for short, to talk about deflection metrics and funnels. Shesh, over to you.
Thanks, Victor, for the overview and introduction. So myself, Sheshakanth here. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone who joined the webinar. So in this session, we are going to talk about a couple of important features that got added into the Conversational Analytics as part of the recent release. The first one is the deflection metrics, and the second one is on the funnels concepts. And we are going to start on the deflection metrics. So the deflection, as Victor earlier briefed, so anything that reduces the amount of load on the lab support agents and that avoids the creation of more service requests inside the system can be considered as a deflection. And there would be the cases where virtual agent proactively collects all the actionable information and intelligently routes the tickets or to the request to the right support group to act upon, where earlier the manual effort has to be done to intelligently, to categorize the service requests to the right supported groups. So this can be also be taken up by the virtual agent. So this could also be potential deflection scenarios. Now coming to the deflection metrics, right? Anything that needs to be measured has to be tracked first. So we track the deflections inside the virtual agent by by introducing or by marking a certain portion of the topic with the deflection node block. So this is the deflection node block that needs to be added inside the topic flows. When you, it is up to the topic developers to decide the certain portion of the topic execution when the user navigates to a certain path and then reaches a certain point. So you can think that, okay, you need to decide that, okay, this is the place where user have navigated to the entire conversation, and then probably It could have been served with the knowledge, or it could have been given with the self-resolving case where the system provided the help to the request that the user is asking. Then you can mark this as a deflection point. And once the control goes or the execution completes through the deflection node block, we can increment the count. So every deflection can belong to certain patterns. Here in the system, we have provided the 4 out of the box deflection patterns. The first one is self-resolving. VA was able to resolve the request on the own. And the second one is VA traced and created. VA was able to trace the user request and then intelligently route the request to the right support group. The third one is VA intercept and resolved. In this case, VA was able to look into the existing created service request, and then it intercepts and then resolves the user request proactively, reaching out to the users before the support groups act working on those tickets. The fourth category is VA search serve. In this case, VA does the search and then serves the knowledge with the for the user request. So the search could be the custom search or AI search and the contextual search. So of course, you can also create your own deflection patterns. So let's say all the VPN related issues, you can create own deflection pattern, like a VPN pattern, or all the password reset request deflections could be part of password reset pattern. Like that, you can create your own deflection patterns as well. So let me quickly show the deflections inside an instance. So now I'm inside the virtual agent analytics dashboard here, and you come here from typing dashboard here, and then you select virtual agent dashboard. Then you land on to the overview page, and the first 3 tiles are introduced for the deflection metrics. So the first one talks about the amount of deflections and the deflection pattern, the distribution count of these 10 deflections to the pattern, and the KB articles that were shown for the deflections. So the deflection patterns can be part of one particular configuration. Let's say here, all the these deflections can be part of the service software configuration. Of course, we have the VA default as the default configuration. So under this, the 4 default out of the box configurations, configuration patterns, default deflection patterns were there. And you can create your own configuration, and then inside the configuration, you can create your own custom pattern as well. So for the VA default configuration, there were 44 deflections, and the 44 got distributed among these 3 patterns, and these are the amount of KB articles that were shown and the number of deflections it contributed to. So the KB article has the breakdown of the number as well here. So let me quickly go to the configuration called software, and then let's try to execute one topic here. So let's say I want to access to one of the software application. So for that, let me select one topic here, software access, and it is going to ask me what application you need access to. I say I need access to OneDrive, and inside the OneDrive, the workflow gets executed, and then after that, we mark this as a deflection, so that the deflection count gets incremented. Here it is the count 10, it should be to 11 because the user navigated to the path. So let me select it's going to default configuration. Let me select the configuration to software. It should be 11 here, exactly here, the count got incremented. So let's quickly see how the configuration would look like here. So this is the topic that I just accessed with. And I've selected the OneDrive flow, OneDrive application. And if the decision is OneDrive, and then user comes here, and the flow comes here, and then this node gets executed. Once this node gets executed, we get this response. once this flow is completed, and then he finally comes to the deflection point where we consider, okay, once the user navigates, completes this flow and then comes here, it's potentially end where we can mark this as a deflection. So as you can see in the configuration of this deflection configuration, so you can select to which configuration it should belong to under this. And I have already created one custom deflection pattern called software access. And you can mention that the activity table and activity IDs are important fields as well, where you can associate the deflection to particular source of the table, let's say all the incidents or incident table, where you may want to mark this deflection as part of certain deflection, table inside the system, and what sort of row IDs that were contributed to this deflection. So, but for now, you can consider as optional, so you don't need to provide it. So for all out of the box topics, we haven't included any other activity tables, but for you can also refer to the knowledge articles and knowledge table, and then you can grab the activity knowledge IDs and then put it comma separated here as the activity IDs here. So that's how you can define the deflection, measure the deflections or track the deflections with the top deflection topic block inside the topics. That's all for the deflections here.
And move on to the next. There we go.
Yeah. So funnel is one more important feature that helps you to understand where users are dropping off in the series of steps in the conversations. And for this, you need to create the funnel with the required steps that needs to be tracked. That could be the topics inside the conversations or specific topic nodes inside the conversations. And up to 10 steps you can create inside the funnel. Once the funnel is created, you can identify the biggest dropping point in the funnel where users are dropping. So in the slide that was shared in this the picture that is shared in the presentation or slide, the bar at each the bar here represents each step here, and it shows the number of users at each step. And as the user move to the next step, how many users have actually came from step 1 to step 2, and how many users are dropped here. So this gives the the major dropping point, so that you can analyze what could be the problematic areas inside the conversation. So let me quickly jump on to the exercise here for the funnel. I'm going to share my screen. So for this, we have introduced the new tab called funnels, where you can see the list of already created funnels. And just an example, I have created one live agent support funnel where it shows of all the users who are active on the system, how many of the users are landed onto the topic called live agent support directly. So here you can see that of all 9 active users who have conversations with the virtual agents, 5 users came to the live agent. And this is the duration for the filter. And the top 3 tiles talks about how many percentage of users that made through all the steps and percentage of users that made through. Here we talk about the number, and the tall type talks about the biggest dropping point inside the funnel. So let me take one example here where I want to create one funnel where for all the active users who have talked to the bot, I wanted to filter out the users who have accessed the topic called software access to SAP and Oracle. And in this topic, I am particularly interested to know about more users who have navigated to the Oracle, access to the Oracle path. So in this, the topic node is Oracle workflow prompt. And let's say after this, they've reached to the live agent. So this is my requirement. I wanted to track of all the users who are active users who access the software access topic. And inside this topic, I am particularly interested to know the people who have went through this path. So we have two paths here, SAP path and Oracle path inside the topic. I'm interested to know the users who went through the Oracle path. And after going through this topic, they went to live agent support. This is my requirement. So let me name this as a funnel name as Oracle funnel. The funnel gets created for the time period. So let's say for the time period last 120 days, wanted to track this data. Okay, cool. The funnel got created for the last 120 days. Of all 9 active users were there in the system, and out of all 9 active users, 3 users or 33% users access the software access to SAP and Oracle. And of all 3 users went into the Oracle workflow inside the skill, inside the topic. And of all 3 users, 1 user actually went to live agent, and 2 users are good with this flow, and then they're happy, and then 1 user is not happy, and then they reach to the live agent after accessing this path. Let me take showing this by executing this topic once. So for this, let me log in as a different user. I'm impersonating to another user. Now, let me access the same skill of the topic. So this is the topic. I wanted to go to the Oracle. I want access to Oracle application. Now, this job is done. Let me go back to my admin role. Let me push the ETL jobs to the system so that it can track the new execution of the topic. Now, inside the funnel, this is the previous data. And I just now access the topic with the another user. Let me refresh the data so that I should see here 4 users here. Yes, of all 10 active users, 4 users moved to this, and I haven't accessed the live agent after this topic. So that's the reason it was the 1 user here. So that's all about the funnels. And you can also see the major dropping point here, 3 to 4. So 4 users to 1 user is the largest dropping point here. So that's all I have for funnels, and I leave the session to Victor.
Yeah, thanks, Sesh. So for anyone who, if you have any questions, again, please type them into the Q&A panel. While we do that, though, we do have some survey questions for you about this feature. So Nabil, if you can launch those poll questions, we do want to get your feedback on there. If not, I can launch the polls. Here we go. This is an opportunity for you to kind of, provide us feedback with the dashboard. And as again, you can also have any questions for us, let us know. So hey Shesh, John C asks, any best practices when creating these funnels and how many steps we should ask? Is there any limit, for example?
Yeah, so maximum of 10 steps can be included inside the funnel. So uh, uh, can you come again this other part of the question, Victor?
Any best practices when creating these funnels and how many steps we should add? I don't, maybe 10 is too much, even though we do offer that as a max.
Yeah. So I think the goal here would be, you may want to track the user behavior, let's say how many users directly initiated of all active users, or how many users came to this particular topic and inside particular topic. And you may particularly wanted to know how many users have navigated through certain paths. Let's say in the example I've taken of all the users who access the software access topic, I may wanted to understand how many people are accessing SAP flow and then how many users are accessing Oracle application flow, so that you can create multiple funnels, one funnel for SAP, one funnel for Oracle application, so that you know what topic, what flow is heavily used, so that you know the sensitivity of the usage of the particular areas. And of course, you may also want to see how many users are actually navigating to the live agent after particular access to certain topic. So that indicates the some sort of difficulty inside the certain paths inside the topic. So you can possibly include those as well.
Okay. Sure, thanks. So Bo asks, is it allowed to add as many deflection patterns as we see fit to use? Is there any best practices or recommendations for that? So I guess the question is about like, hey, when should we use the out-of-box deflection patterns, of which we have 4, and when to perhaps create our own, or perhaps how many is too much, or any thoughts on that?
A good question. So ideally, the patterns, right? Of course, you can create as many as a number of patterns as possible, but I would say limit yourself to your critical use cases. Let's say you may want to, categorize the deflections, let's say all password reset patterns, or all service requests. Let's say you have certain requirement like the commonly used asks like questions like HR policies, or let's say all patterns related to the pay slips, or admin services. So you can categorize these requests into certain patterns and then say that, okay, for this pattern, these are the amount of deflection that VA was able to, virtual agent was able to serve. So typically depends on your core use cases or the categories to which you wanted to track the deflections. So that's where you can track the effectiveness of the deflection, amount of deflections, or the success of VA for each category of the requirements.
Great. And we have time for just one more question. But again, as always, if you have any other questions, you can always put them in our community. Chris asks, if I just wanted more granular topic usage metrics, for example, which option selected or what was typed in input, etc. It seems like a funnel is both overkill and maybe not even applicable. Is this the case? I would say yes. The reason I can take that, I would say yes, Chris. And the reason why I say that is because we do have other metrics or dashboards that actually measure the topic nodes used. If you look in under, I believe it's topic analysis or conversation analysis, you can see that. And in terms of what was typed in for input, we actually don't measure that yet, or at least not in a granular method. Again, if you go to the, I believe, conversations section in the analytics, you can see transcript per conversation. And I would refer to that as opposed to using the funnel, which I think would be overkill. So that's all the time we have today. I'm so sorry. I see other questions, but we are over time. Again, if you have any questions, other questions, please ask them in the community. We do have documentation to explain the metrics and the deflection patterns. So, take a look at that. And then, yeah, that's all we have for today. Thank you for filling out the poll. Thank you for attending. We will see you in 2 weeks, 2 Tuesdays from now. And thank you again, Shesh, for presenting or for sharing with us the Conversational Analytics dashboard.
My pleasure. Bye-bye, everyone.